It is day 3 of VEDIJ, and shit is already going downhill from here. So yesterday I uploaded the video about my favorite products from 2017, and the smart thing would have been for me to continue to talk about beauty products and that sort of thing if that's what I'm into. But today, I live in New York, and today it was just miserable. It is so cold outside. It is currently like 23 degrees. It stopped snowing a couple of minutes ago, but I am in like 5 to 6 inches of snow. So I was just like in no mood whatsoever to put on more makeup or anything like that. I just wanted to sit down and talk. I mean, honestly, I wasn't even planning on making a video. I was gonna be like, oh, is it gonna be a snow day? But, you know, commitment. So yeah, essentially what I want to talk about today is kind of give like a little talk about what are the expectations that I have for this channel, and that I hope that you guys will have from me. Well, actually, no, I don't want anyone to expect anything from me because once you start building expectations, that's when you get disappointed. So I guess mainly just to talk about why I'm doing this and what I want to get from this. Don't know if you noticed some better lighting. Moving on up. My setup here is a mess. It is an actual mess. But I mean, I guess that's, that's what you do when you're starting off in this sort of thing, right? And I keep looking at the viewfinder because that's a thing that people do apparently when you're taking videos. You keep looking at the viewfinder, so I look like a weirdo just looking to the side like, hey. But yeah, essentially, the reason why I wanted to start this YouTube channel was because I started this channel. Well, no, I created my YouTube channel, or I subscribed to YouTube. I'm not sure however you want to put that, in 2008, and I started watching creators like Michelle Phan and Ryan Higa and Jenna Marbles and Kingsley. So I had like a weird variety. Well, it's not really weird, but I had a variety of people that I was watching, and I was so intrigued about what they were doing. It was so interesting to me. I'm like, wow, these people who are my age, around my age range, are doing all these silly things on the internet. And back then in 2008, I didn't even think about the possibility that I could do the same thing. I wasn't even thinking about, I don't know if you guys can hear that, but my neighbor decided that it's a good time to start cleaning the snow. Okay. Anyways, I didn't even think that it would be a possibility for me to also do what they were doing. Like, I don't even know why I didn't think. Maybe they're just using like a regular camera or something like that to do these things. I was just watching, and I was intrigued about the idea of them doing these things, and for me they looked so like impossible for anyone else to do, which is such a silly thing to think. But like, for example, Michelle Phan. I mean, back in 2008, Michelle Phan was making all these crazy looks. Like, she made that video, I don't know if it was in 2008, but she made that video of her transforming into like Lady Gaga and Barbie and all this stuff, and I was just like, oh my god, that's insane. She's so talented. It's like, and so pretty. I could never put myself on camera like that because I don't have that talent. And then time went by, and more people started becoming really big on YouTube, and then I started to follow a lot more beauty related videos because I was so inspired by Michelle Phan that I just wanted to see what else was out there. So I found other beauty gurus like Jaclyn Hill and Carly Bible and Nicole Guerriero. I want to say her last name in Spanish. I know she's not Latina, so whatever. And those creators, I started finding them, but the more beauty gurus that I started finding, the less inclined I felt to do what they did. And the reason for that is because, and I know that a lot of people are going to be like, oh my god, but they started like you did, like they started from nothing. Granted, but a lot of these girls were makeup artists, or at least had some prior experience. You know, they were either, if they were applying makeup to their friends and family, or in the case of a lot of girls, they worked at MAC or Sephora, so they had that experience, and they had like this huge knowledge of makeup, and I didn't have any knowledge because I lived in Dominican Republic, which is a very small island where you didn't have access to products that were sold at Sephora. Honestly, now that I think about it, I don't even remember what kind of products I was using when I was in DR. I think I was using things like CoverGirl and Revlon, but even that was difficult to get because a lot of places sold those things at a very expensive price for me. Or I could never find my actual shade because they never really stocked it. Back then there weren't any stores that were like really just beauty related, so there wasn't a lot of variety. So, you know, I felt at a huge disadvantage. I was just like, man, you know, I would love to be able to do this, to get on a camera and talk about my experience with makeup and what I like and why I like it. But I felt like I couldn't because I didn't have the resources. I didn't have the makeup to do that. And then all these girls, they were all so beautiful. You know, these girls with beautiful faces, beautiful skin, really skinny, you know, beautiful eyes. And I was just like, how can I be a beauty girl when I don't look like these beauty girls? So I don't look like any of these other girls physically. You know, I didn't have the look that I thought that you had to have in order for you to be somebody who would be taken seriously in the beauty community. I was also very much afraid of putting myself out there and possibly receive, I was afraid of the potential backlash. You know, people just, you know how the internet is. People pointing out things about myself that I already know and that I'm very self-conscious about. So, and you know, then life took turns. I moved from the Dominican Republic, moved here to New York City, and things got very real. You know, it was time to buckle down and get an actual job and pay bills and all that stuff. So the idea of doing this was just ludicrous. It was something like, come on now, like let's get serious. You don't have the time. You know, you have to purchase camera and lighting and editing software. And even though I know now that a lot of those things are kind of like excuses or like reasons that you're giving yourself not to do something because of your own fear, back then for me it was just like an obvious thing. Like, of course I can't do this now. Like, the heck. And you know, even though I had a lot of other things that I needed to do and that I was taking care of, like just working and paying bills and all that stuff, in the back of my head I always had that regret of like, why am I not doing this one thing that I want to do so badly? And I continued to see other YouTubers, those YouTubers that I started watching back in 2008, and a lot of others that I continue to watch and see them starting from nothing to gaining all this success and doing what they loved and making it into a career, and then YouTube kind of blowing up and and being this great thing. And I was just like, oh man, you know, I missed that train. That train just took off and left me behind, and now I'm here with all these ideas and all this creativity, and all this desire to create just left in me. And I did myself the disservice of never starting. And then time went by, and I got older, and life continued to suck. And I kept telling myself, oh, it's too late, it's too late, it's too late. I couldn't, I can't, you know. So it was a couple of years ago, like maybe like 2 years ago. I was talking to one of my friends, and to a couple of people, I kept telling them about how I felt. Now that YouTube was like a thing that people knew about, and people were aware that, well, I guess it became more normalized. Like people were, we already understood the fact that people did YouTube. I started talking to some friends about it, and I was like, man, I can't believe that all these kids who are my age now, you know, they're so famous and successful doing this thing, and I could have done that and I didn't. And a lot of my friends were like, but why don't you? Like, everyone knows, you know, that I love makeup and that I'm good at it. That I'm always talking about it, I'm always spending money on it, and it's like, why don't you just do it? What's the problem? And I kept making excuses for myself. And also, you know, self-esteem. So self-esteem also became a factor. You know, I looked at myself and I was just like, oh, I don't have the physical attributes or the looks to be able to pull off doing a beauty channel. And looking at all the other beauty YouTubers really didn't help me, because I kept thinking, well, how am I supposed to attract viewers and have people interested in my social medias and all the things that I had to do if I didn't look like all the other girls and guys looked? You know, like everyone had just like all this smooth skin and beautiful smiles and big lips and all this stuff. And I was just thinking to myself, oh my God, like I don't want to do all that. Like I don't want to get fillers and do all this stuff to myself in order to, you know, be famous and all that. So so I continued to put it off, and I continued to not do it. So in the past year, life took quite the turn. And there were a lot of people that I know, like a lot of friends and from where I worked and everything, that were like, that also had plans and ideas, and were also thinking about putting their ideas online. And that kind of sparked something in me. Like it kind of motivated me, and I was like, okay, well, maybe I can do this. Like, and for some reason I felt like last year, even though last year was one of the worst years of my life, I feel like last year was also the year where kind of like that spark lit up more than before, and there was this possibility now. Like I was really like, oh, this could actually really happen. And I got myself a camera, and I created a blog, and I created an Instagram page, and I just started doing that. And I was like, okay, so I'm doing this now. The blog, it was a good idea at the moment, but for me, writing is not my strong suit. I'm not a good writer. Even though I've lived in New York a really long time, I didn't go to school here, so my first language is Spanish, so my grammar is not the best. So sometimes I was writing stuff from my blog, even though it was just like makeup reviews and stuff. I was like, oh my God, this sounds boring. And I was just like, man, if I could only just like talk about these things better. And which is such a dumb thought, because like obviously you can't just turn the camera towards you and put it on YouTube. But again, I continued to be really afraid. I was like, oh my God, I can't put my face on YouTube. Like, I kept telling myself the same things like I told myself years ago. And then, I don't know, once the year 2017 started dwindling and it started going to 2018, I was just like, you know what, fuck it. I have the camera, I have the resources, let me just do this. How difficult can this be? It can't be. There's a lot of people online who are always saying, oh, YouTube isn't what it was before, everything is so overproduced and over manufactured, and people are no longer taking this thing as a passion project, but now it's a business and all this stuff. Like, people are always clamoring for people to be raw and real, and I was like, well, okay, I'm raw, I'm real. You know, I don't have a studio. I don't even have a proper editing software. Like I mentioned in a previous video, I'm using iMovie, and I still don't know how to use it properly. And probably to those of you who know editing, you're probably looking at me like, iMovie? But I can't justify spending $300 on a software, especially since I'm currently unemployed. Like, that's just not something I can do right now. And also I'm thinking to myself, you know, what I'm doing right now is not something that is overly complicated, and like, I'm not gonna win any Emmys or Oscars anytime soon. This is just a girl in front of a camera talking about the things that she likes. I don't see the need for me to have all this extra flashy things. I do want to learn to do better, to make these things better, because I do want something to come out of it. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I'm not interested in this potentially becoming the thing that I do, you know, but I'm gonna start, you know, obviously start from the bottom, obviously, and then as time goes by, hopefully I'll get better. I know it will get better, and hopefully people will be more interested in what I have to say. I don't necessarily want to stay in the beauty industry. That, I mean, even though I do love makeup and all that stuff, there are other things that I would love to do. I would love to be able to expand more on my creativity and my ability to create other things, but I understand that there's a lot of other things that I need to learn before I do that, especially with editing. So I'm gonna get into doing that, and let's see how it goes. But essentially right now, this channel is just gonna be me talking about the things I love about makeup and making it more accessible to people who aren't looking to look like mannequins. Even though that's fun and it's great, you know, it's not something that I see my friends and the people that I know in my life interested in. Like, I have so many people in my life that they're always like, oh, you know, I don't even know what foundation to buy. I don't know what kind of palette to buy. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I talk to them about it, and they're just like, oh, you know, I wish you could do my makeup. I wish you could take me with you. I could take you with me to buy makeup with me. Like, they tell me these things, and I'm like, with so many beauty gurus online, so many people on YouTube making YouTube tutorials and all this stuff, how is it that there's still people who don't know, either don't care to learn or don't want to, or don't know what to do about makeup? And it's because I find that a lot of times, a lot of people, especially regular people who go to work, are intimidated by what these women and men look like, because they're like, well, obviously her foundation, his foundation looks awesome because their skin is beautiful. And, you know, and they know what they're doing, they're professionals. And I'm like, well, you can do it too. It's easy. It's not that big a deal. It's not that serious. Those people look like that because they spend a lot of money and a lot of editing software and Facetune and all this stuff. None of those people look like that in real life. Or maybe they do, and that's fine. But you don't have to. I know I don't have to. I mean, I'm here in front of this camera looking like this. And I want to be able to show people, the everyday people, that you can love makeup too. You can go to Target or Walmart, pick up a foundation, put it on, and look good and feel good about how you look without you having to inject yourself with Botox and fillers and all this stuff. You know, not that there's anything wrong with that. If you want to do that, you do you. I don't know if I ever could, just because I'm terrified of needles, and one coming close to my face is literally my worst nightmare. But you know, I want to make things accessible. I want this to be the everyday person kind of go-to when it comes to makeup, and I hope I can make that happen. So I know that I said I'm going to make, oh my god, January has 31 days. Jesus Christ. Why did I choose January to do this? But I'm not going to upload on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday. I'm going to make it a Monday to Friday kind of thing, because I don't think I have enough ideas to fill out 7 days a week. And I kind of want to give myself a break so that I can learn to do other stuff in the meantime to hopefully improve this. Stop looking at the viewfinder, Jesus Christ. And if anybody has any ideas of what I could do that, you know, that I could upload, please let me know. If they're beauty related, please. Don't give me no weird dare situation, because I'm not that kind of channel. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully, if I'm not buried by thousands of tons of snow.